we go. Preseason ends on Saturday. Opener is Tuesday. Rockets opener is Wednesday. Only seems appropriate. It's against Harden's old team, the Thunder, as we wait to see who his new team is going to be. From the reporting that you have done, what's the latest you can tell us on James?
There's a lot of noise surrounding the potential trades for one of the most dominant players in the league right now in James Harden. And for the past few years, there's at least one potential trade or free agency signing that has NBA fans on the edge of their seats. And there are thousands, if not millions, of NBA news sources, insiders, talking heads, or just fans with a YouTube page voicing their opinions. But everyone who is at least slightly tuned in to NBA news only has one source they actually trust, and that's the ultimate NBA insider, Adrian Wojarnowski.
Hey, question for you. I'm going to report later on Countdown, when we're talking about the Thunder, that Chris Paul...
What's up, Hoopheads? It's Devin here with Who Am I NBA edition, and the word is out. The Rockets are ready to trade James Harden as soon as possible, and we've known for a while now that Harden would rather leave the Rockets and join a stronger contender than finish out the last 2 years on his contract with Houston. If you read the headlines the last couple of days, it seems as though there's bad beef brewing between the Rockets front office and Harden, but I think the relationship has just run its course. After Russ left, Harden probably doesn't think the Rockets have enough to win a title, and Harden's lack of commitment and preference for a trade has the Rockets front office shopping him around. But you can't always take the media's word for it. They've been hounding Harden for the past few days, putting out stories about him hitting the strip clubs in Atlanta or Miami, and him skipping out on training camp or showing up heavily overweight for his first preseason game. These are all narratives that sports media has been pushing. And personally, I don't get why he's getting all this scrutiny now when we all know that James Harden loves to hit the strip clubs when he has a night off. But Harden's such a valuable piece that there have been a ridiculous number of teams floated as his next destination. The Sixers, the Heat, the Nets, the Mavs, the Raptors, the Bucks, and these are just teams that Harden himself said that he'd be interested in joining. There's a chance that the Rockets GM is talking to other teams and trying to put together a deal that trades Harden to the Kings maybe, or the Warriors. We never know. NBA GMs are always playing chess while we're stuck playing checkers. And there's no doubt in my mind that, like I said, there might be a sleeper franchise that trades for Harden. NBA free agency is always a guessing game. Rumors and stories are leaked to lower trade values. ESPN pundits go on air to advocate for their favorite players. And small-time NBA content creators, like myself, have no problem adding their 2 cents. But with all of this noise, especially during free agency and upcoming trade deadlines, there's only one source that every NBA fan actually trusts, and that's Woj.
To chase stories. I think of that more than like the actual story itself.
Oh, well, he's the greatest newsbreaker of all time in any sport. To me, it's not even a question.
I got a notification this morning from an NBA account saying that the Rockets were hoping to trade Harden sooner rather than later, and immediately checked it by pulling up Twitter and going to Woj's account to see if he had said anything on the subject. I think we all do this. Hear some information from a friend or see something on Reddit and immediately go to Woj's Twitter to see if it's real. He's become the top NBA insider, and it's to the point that something isn't real or confirmed unless Woj tweets it. When all of this James Harden trade stuff comes to an end, I promise you it will be Woj who breaks the story. But how did he become the ultimate NBA insider, and how influential is he on the NBA?
I'd be at games beforehand, and there'd be a lot of journalists sitting in the press room eating, talking to each other. That was never Adrian. He was out talking to scouts, to assistant coaches, to not just the best players on the team, but the 12th player on the end of the bench. And so when those assistant coaches later became head coaches or general managers, Adrian had already developed a very close relationship with them.
Woj attended St. Bonaventure University, and afterwards he worked at the Fresno Bee as a fresh-faced 25-year-old. He wrote a column for 2 years and then moved on to work for The Record. It was here where his columns on New York City sports teams started to gain him notoriety, and he even won some awards.
Started as a college basketball writer and was a general sports columnist for a newspaper. when you look at sort of the trajectory of your career, it's just lots of smaller ones, and then you incrementally start to get more breakthroughs as you build more relationships, as you understand the league landscape better.
But it wasn't until he moved to Yahoo Sports in 2007 when his reputation as the ultimate NBA insider started to take shape. And to give you a little bit of background, during this time, cable news was starting to grow in the sports arena, and it was starting to outpace newspapers and written news. People could just turn on ESPN and get all of the news they needed without having to crack open a newspaper. And Woj soon realized that the only way to get attention for sports news was not to post about scores and games that happened the night before, but to be the one breaking the news and providing the inside scoop on NBA trade rumors, free agency movements, and the draft. Woj saw that his own opinion pieces weren't as popular as his breaking news updates. If he was going to have a major impact on sports journalism, it would have to come in the form of insider information and breaking news. If he could break those stories first, if he reported it before anyone else, he would rise above the fold and put himself on another level.
The more news you broke, the more people were paying attention. And I think I just saw an opening at a time that nobody else was really putting a great deal of effort into trying to corner the market on news.
But things didn't go perfectly at first. Even during LeBron's first free agency years, he didn't get much attention posting about him. He was also wrong some of the time and didn't have enough information for an actual scoop on a lot of his tweets. But there were bright spots in the early days. On draft night in 2011, he pretty much tweeted half of the first round picks before they were even announced in the draft, and since then, he's grown his NBA network substantially. He worked for Yahoo Sports until making the jump to ESPN in 2017. And although Yahoo was a respectable outfit at the time, this seemed inevitable as ESPN is the king of sports journalism. But the relationship between him and ESPN hasn't always been amiable. And during his time at Yahoo, he lashed out at ESPN and its reporters a few times. One time he referred to longtime ESPN reporter and Grizzlies executive John Hollinger, a statistician that worked for a cable company. He also famously tweeted at ESPN, "You guys have 75 guys there. You guys should break every story and be more worried about that than me." My favorite is when Missouri Senator Josh Hawley emailed Adam Silver criticizing the NBA for letting players put social justice messages on the back of their jerseys, and Woj responded with a nice "fuck you," and ESPN promptly suspended him. But when the news about Woj's suspension came down, several people came to his defense. The hashtag #FreeWoj became trending on Twitter as several NBA fans and enthusiasts shared their praise and offered support for the NBA insider. Many of those people sharing the #FreeWoj hashtag were NBA players themselves, guys like LeBron, Lou Williams, Patrick Beverley, Jamal Murray, and a number of others who Woj most definitely has a close relationship with. Now it's ironic that he's at ESPN and trying to build his reputation as more of an on-camera personality rather than a guy just behind the keys. But these stories are great because you can get a glimpse into how competitive and intense this man is. There are endless stories about him staying up late into the night, hitting the phones, and talking to his sources, just trying to find the next scoop.
Agencies ever, so many high-profile players, big teams, big markets. I had a chart of what I considered the top 30, 40 free agents, and every single day I spent time over that course of that year. Did I work today toward being in position on July 1, June 30th, July 1, July 2, July 3, that I'm going to be able to break that free agent? And so some I was very confident I was going to get, there's a couple I didn't, and then there's a couple I don't think I'm going to get that one, and then I did.
He said one time, "I'm really competitive, and this is a competitive marketplace. If I'm against you, I'm going against you. If I'm with you, I'm going with you." And this makes sense. Insider journalism is all about who gets there first and who can you trust. You have to be competitive to be the best. He's become the most connected person in the NBA, and it's pretty inspiring how this guy worked his way through sports journalism to become the go-to person for NBA scoops. He's become so integral to the league that GMs will call him for information. When doing my research for this video, I found countless times where GMs said they would call Woj just to get a temperature check on another GM or on a free agent they were interested in. There really isn't another guy who garners this much respect and has such a rock-solid reputation in the NBA insider space. Guys like Shams, who aspire to be like Woj, are rising through the ranks quickly, but at the end of the day, Woj is king.
What do you have any kind of rivalry with Woj when it comes to free agency and breaking news?
Oh, of course, but that's with anyone, with everything. Like, that's someone obviously you work with for multiple years, so there's always like that level of respect, and like that's a role model. I mean, guys like him, Brian Windhorst, like Adam Schefter, those are all guys I looked up to when I was 15, 16 years old.
And he's been following the Harden story these past few weeks, and everyone knows not to believe the other hype, because if Woj didn't tweet it, it's not true. Maybe by the time you're watching this video, we've already gotten a Woj bomb telling us where Harden will land. But as we wait to hear the news, there's no doubt in my mind that Woj is hitting the phones, working his sources, and trying to find the next scoop that will send the NBA world into a frenzy. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video and you want to see more, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It really helps the channel out and helps us rank with the infamous YouTube algorithm. But I am curious to know, where do you think Harden will end up for this season? Is he going to stay with the Rockets or maybe wear a Sixers jersey next year? Let me know in the comments below. Catch you guys on the next one.